What's up guys, and welcome to the sixth part in my load balancing tutorial. So in the previous tutorial we checked how we can create proper debugging purposes, so we can switch between the servers like this. So you can see server 2, server 1, server 2. So we can verify that the load balancing is actually working. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make a little fuss in the system. So we're going to kill the server 2 and making sure that the load balancing is going to the other server instead. And we're gonna see what happens when we do that as well. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna SSH into the server 2, and if you watch here, I have this server running. The Node.js application is called server. So I'm gonna start by just killing it, and the way I do it is pm2 stop. So, and then server. Right, so now you can see the status is stopped of this application, and the IP address of this is 0.14, and if I try to hit that server directly, it's not going to work because now it's dead. So the other IP address to the other server is 12, and this one is still alive, so this is server 1. But what happens if I hit the load balancer on port 15, I think? Let me verify that. So, yeah, 15, 0.15. So if I hit this, you can see I still get response from server 1. And as we know from the previous tutorial, this is not a cache. This is actually how it's routing. So you can see there is no difference as before. And if I would use the hello world endpoint, I wouldn't even notice any difference, which obviously should be the case. So this is one way of doing it, but so let's assume that you're implementing new features in the system. So you need to upgrade the applications running on server 1 and server 2. What you can do is you can take this server 2 down, and the application will still be alive because it will be routing the old version through server 1, working with that. We take this down, do your updating, put it back up, and then you take server 1 down, so now it's getting routed through server 2 with the new version, and then when you're done you put server 1 back up, and everything is fine. So now you have updated the whole system with 0 downtime, which is always a nice thing, you know. But the problems that you might run into is that what if you want to test something along the way in your deployment? It's not going to behave very good for your users, because while you're starting and stopping services running on this server, you might get some requests through the load balancer. So they might go through and there might be buggy responses and stuff like that. So you don't really want to do what I just did when it comes to updating the system, because this is what I just demonstrated, basically just emergency whenever some application crash. So it's only a nice feature to have if, let's say, that one of the servers should crash, the application servers. So if you want to do it the graceful way, let's say you want to update the applications that you have running, you go into the configuration file in here, and let's say, so this is the 0.12 is my server 1 and this is server 2. So let's say that I want to start with updating server 2. You can see there is a semicolon here. Just before it, I just type down like this, and then I save it. And I do my reloading of Nginx. So now the configuration should be in place. And if I test out the ping endpoint, now you can see server 1, server 1, server 1, server 1, because the load balancer have been told to not route to this IP address right here, which is my server 2. So, but it's still running because I haven't stopped it, you know. It should be running. Well, actually it's not, because I didn't start it again. Let me do that. So you can see, yeah, I stopped it here. So let me start it. All right, so now it's online, and I should be able to reach it when I use the explicit IP address to it. But if I use the load balancer IP address, it's not going to be routed to that server at all. So now I can use the 0.14 address for debugging purposes. I might have my front end that I hard code to the live environment and stuff like that in order to test it. And when everything is working, the only thing I need to do is go into the load balancer again, to the configuration file here, and just like remove that, and then I do like this instead. Save it, and then I reload it. So now we should be hitting the other server instead. So if I try out the load balancer, I should get server 2, server 2, server 2, server 2. But on the other hand, server 1 is still up and running, but it's not included in the load balancing. So that's a little bit more graceful way of handling uptime. Really simple and really nice when you have this set up and everything is working and fine and all that. So I'm gonna go ahead and reset it back to the default settings and reload it. So thank you guys for watching. That's all for this part in the tutorial. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and put a comment if anything is unclear, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.